Hey YouTube, this is Brandon with Third Rate Duels, and went to the St. Louis Regional last weekend with Lair Infernoids and got 18th with it. Went X2 in Swiss, so the reason I chose this deck is because it has a really good first turn play and also does really well going second. And I kind of geared the deck to go first, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So start off with the bosses. We did 2 Nuku and 2 Deviati. You don't really need any more than that. And then 1 Atondal and 2 Sestimus. Tondal is still viable in the format right now, in my opinion. It's another name, and because we're playing Doolittle Chimera, if you don't play against Pendulum, this just opens up OTKs. And then Sestimus is just the best big Infernoid, in my opinion. Combos really well with Lair, so Lair puts the token on your opponent's side of the field if you tribute on their turn, and so you just attack into it with this guy and banish a card off their field. Just free, non-targeting monster removal. And then obviously the one of this guy for the Void Feast play. And then the little ones we're playing are the 2 level 4 and the 2 level 3. Don't need any more than this, but saw them all day Saturday. It was pretty good. And then obviously the last Infernoid is Triple Decatron. It's the best Infernoid in the deck. I don't really need to explain that. And then for the Lair engine, I played Triple Arima, and I did play 1 Darkest Diablos. I think this card is super good in the deck because against like True Draco, this card just outs True Draco, because if they make Masterpiece immune to monsters and traps, you just play this guy in Lair and then tribute Masterpiece for cost, and they can't do anything about it. And then if they make Masterpiece immune to monsters and traps, and then you just go ham with this guy. He just outs Masterpiece. And then the last monster is Double Raiden. You're still playing Infernoids, so you're still playing a mill deck. So you kind of need that extra little bit to dig into the graveyard. Plus, it helps you see Darkest Diablos better. And obviously, it's a level 4 tuner, so you make Omega plays. And then Triple Lair, best card in the deck, makes this deck super viable. And then for Void Spells and Traps, little spells, we play Triple Vanishment and then Double Imagination. Don't really need more than 2 Imagination because it's essentially dead against True Draco. So I couldn't justify playing 3 of a potentially dead card against such a big deck in the meta. But the card's still super good. And then Double Charge. Didn't play 3 because I'm only playing 2 Raiden. And I don't see the point in playing 3 of this and only 2 Raiden, because then you're essentially playing a dead card in the deck. And then Double Burial. A lot of people aren't playing this card anymore, but I think it's still like really good. Especially if you're going second and you're trying to push through your opponent's board. This just puts the Banished Infernoids back in your grave and just lets you make plays. And then Monster Gate and Reasoning. As I said before, you're still playing a mill deck. You still want to get those Infernoids to the grave, even though the normal summon monsters in this build is a little bit larger. These cards are still good. And then 1 Foolish Burial serves a couple purposes. Puts Darkest Diablos in grave, or you just put another Infernoid in grave to make Infernoid plays. So glad I played this. And then 1 for 1, obviously. And then the last spell, which people aren't playing anymore, Rekindling. So every time I saw this card Saturday, I won. So like you just send all the Decatrons to the graveyard with Imagination and special summon them all back. This card just opens up like OTK avenues with the deck, because you can make stuff like Doolittle Chimera and like link out of your Infernoid plays, and then even after you use all of your Decatrons off of the Void Feast, you just rekindling them back, and it's just super, super good. And then the last trap, the only trap in the deck is Triple Void Feast. So I didn't play any more traps than this. I didn't play Lilith because the only trap I'm playing is this. So if you open this card in Lilith, Lilith is dead. And then I couldn't cut any in the deck to play more traps, so I really think you only need this. So as you notice in the deck, I'm not really playing any hand traps. Couldn't find the room. I mean, like if I were to like change the deck, I would take out the Foolish and like the Foolish and maybe the Darkest Diablos to play like Call by the Grave. But I don't know. I mean, I like the way the deck is now. I did get ashed several times Saturday, but I was able to play through it still. So, I mean, hand traps don't really hurt this deck a whole lot. Like, Ogre isn't even that bad. Like, the worst thing you can do is Ash and Valor of the Decatron. But I didn't have Link Karibo, but if I would have, I would just Link Karibo out of it and it'd been okay. And then for extra, Triple Tierra, still playing 3 of this because The only reason I think this is good is because the Inferno Engine is like really small in the deck, so playing 3 of this is still good because worst case scenario is you summon 1 and then send 2 in like an Attest out of the extra deck, so that way you're essentially putting like 3 Infernoids in the graveyard, so you can keep making Infernoid plays. So that's the only reason 3 of this is still in here, so that way I can send copies of itself off of it. And then triple Attest for triple pop. I didn't ever triple Attest anyone Saturday. I ended up actually sending other copies of Tierra. But in theory, it was good. And then 1 Scrap Archfiend. The reason I'm still playing this is because it's a Fiend type. And I play the Link 2 Archfiend guy. And he's a Fiend, so I can link out of him if I need to. And then Saturday, I actually ended up synchroing into this guy and winning the match because of it. So I definitely would keep him in just for that. And then Black Rose, didn't play it at all Saturday, but in theory it was good. Opponent established the board, and I try and Black Rose out of it or force him to gate with it. So, didn't see it at all, but it was still good in theory. And then 1 Omega, so essentially, like, if you open Void Feast and able to make Omega, you're essentially making your opponent play with only 2 cards, because you're going to pluck a card out of their hand going first, and then you're going to Void Feast, and then have 2 Monster Disrupts because of Lair, and like the level 6 Infernoid, you just tribute their monster for cost, and you're going to have a Spell and Trap and a Monster Negate. And then, Gemini Pearl, kept this in just in case, didn't see it at all. I'm probably going to take it out for Tornado Dragon, because just being able to easily out Floodgates with a rank 4 would be good. And then the links, I played Underclock. I made this once Saturday, and won me a game because of it. Just good generic Link 2. Doolittle Chimera, because they're all fires, and because of this card, I can OTK my opponent like much harder. So the card's super good. I played it almost every match Saturday. And then this guy, because Lair of Darkness makes them all dark, so you can't make Doolittle Chimera, so you just link into this guy instead to further your board presence. So really, really good. It's a 12-card extra deck, so the cards I was missing was Link, Kuriboh, Borreload, and Skull Dread, because I'm poor. But if I had the chance, I would have played those, and Link Kuriboh probably would have helped a lot Saturday, but still did fairly well.
And your scrub.
And for side deck, 1 Raw Sphere Mode. Sided it once, didn't get a chance to play it. Double Jinzo. The reason I sided Jinzo is because I expected Alcryst, or that new trap deck, to be bigger than what it was. Altergeist. I expected it to be like pretty super viable there Saturday, and I actually didn't get to play against it, but there were several people playing it, and the deck is like super good. So I figured Jinzo would have been a good card to side against it. But as I said, did get a chance to play it. And then Double Ogre. Sided that card in like every duel. It was super, super good. And I mean, honestly, like MVP of the side deck right here. Going against like FTK and stuff like that. Double Twins because of Sure Draco, and then Cyclone because of Pendulum. The Third Imagination for obvious reasons, so anything that played an extra deck I sided this in and just tried to blow off the board. Double Anti-Spell, this went in against 60 card, this went in against Pendulum Magician, went in against Metal Floater Draco. This card I sided in quite a bit Saturday, and then Triple D Barrier. So in theory this card was good going against Pendulum as the blowout card. I only saw it once, and I sided against Mech Knight Invoked, and then he opened only the Mech Knights after that. So I didn't really get a chance to play this, but in theory it was good. And that's it for the deck profile. So, Dennis, you got any questions?
What'd you play against up there?
So, round 1, I played against Paleo Frog, and I 2-0'd him. Round 2, I played against 60-card Dino. Lost that guy game 3 in time, because I normal summoned a Raiden, and he ended up like playing Giant Rex with like 30 cards banished and attacked over the Raiden for game. That was a super good match though, and the guy was really cool. Round 3, my opponent didn't show. Round 4, played against Pendulum FTK. Lost to that, so those were my 2 losses, was the 60 card Dino and the Pendulum FTK. Round 5, I played against Metal Floater Draco and 2-0'd that guy. Round 6, played against Light Sworn, 2-0'd that guy. Twilight Sworn. Round 7, played against another 60 card deck. Beat that guy in game 3 in time, and then round 8 I played against Mech Knight Invoked. And this deck just has like a super good matchup against Mech Knight Invoked, because you just tribute their monsters for cost because of Lair, and they can't do anything. And if you banish their fusion materials out of grave, it just kills Invoked. Invocation.
Anything you do different?
Yeah, I would probably, if I, like hindsight's 20/20 for sure. And while ashing, I didn't ever lose because of an ash. It did hurt. So if I were to change anything in the deck, I would probably take out the Foolish Burial and like maybe the Atondal to play like 2 Called by the Grave, because I have the deck geared to go first. So it just makes it harder if they ash you. But as I said, never lost because of ash. I was able to play through it. But that's probably what I would do, is probably put in 2 Called by the Grave.
Any shout-outs?
Yes. So Dustin and Dennis from the team were part of Third Rate Duels. Dustin let me borrow all the layer stuff for Saturday, and then Dennis, for helping me do a bunch of playtesting. And then shout out to the Surprise Shop in Sullivan, Missouri, because that's our locals. We play here quite a bit, and Judy's always really cool and helping all of us out. And shout out to Gary, Marky, everyone else for helping me out and helping me build the deck and do a bunch of playtesting. That's all I got. Later, YouTube.